Proud to announce Counterculture's teamed up with Cloud Defensive, the best in handheld and weapons-mounted illumination. Go to clouddefensive.com, use promo code CC15, and get 15% off your order. Whether you're on patrol, whether you're on SWAT, whether or not you're a civilian that wants their home defense set up, Cloud Defensive is the way to go. They have weapons-mounted and they have handheld lights. So go to clouddefensive.com, use promo code CC15, 15% off. What's up, everybody? As you guys know, we teamed up with Tasty Gains, Counterculture. The entire network has teamed up with them. They're a big supporter of ours, but we're a big advocate of them. You know, we're here on the road. You can have these creatine gummies. You don't have to pack the creatine powder and everything. You can eat a gummy, go out, fruit snack, and you can. One gummy is 1 gram. You can have up to 5 a day. Look, I mean, another one. You have them whenever you want, and they're fucking delicious.
Same thing with their pre-workout, the Tasty Gains pre-workout. Simple. It's in a gummy as well. You don't have to chunk down energy drinks and be bloated. Get sick of buying them. One container of pre-workout, one pre-workout gummy. Just as easy.
Yeah, and for guys like us that are always on the road doing something, these are super convenient. I love this company, and this is all we need now. We don't need any more of that powdered bullshit. So go to tastygains.com. Show them some love.
Okay, so here we are. We're back. Sports.
Right. We're just talking about how I coached
Space Jam.
What'd I miss? What did I miss?
You coached your son's six. You never played basketball.
I coached my son's first game today, and they're 6, and I've never played a game of basketball in my life.
Corralled them
so I know sports now.
Yeah.
And then we talked about
Space Jam.
Because we were talking about how I never played basketball, and you made fun of my height.
Yeah. I was going to let that part slide, but
it is a tall man's game for sure. But then we talked about the shortest, is the shortest dude in the NBA?
He was one of the shortest to ever play, I think.
What's his name?
Spud Webb.
Yeah. But he won the slam dunk contest.
I don't know if he won it. He was in it. He might have won it because of his.
I would have let him win that.
Yeah.
Nate Robinson's won it, and he's 5'9".
Yeah.
5'9" tall, bro.
No. 2 inches is not big. 2 inches is not big either.
So, yeah, I mean, in our efforts to expand, already stretched kind of thin, we're gonna do a sports show. We're gonna try it. And I've watched other networks try sports shows that weren't a sports network, and it's hard. It's a struggle. So, you know, 'cause me and him were talking. You were getting pizza, but like, you know, I watched a network try to do cops talking sports for cops, and it just doesn't work.
Well, the good news is, I mean, although they're related to law enforcement and involved with law enforcement a few times, he isn't a cop, which maybe is better that it's a different angle of he's very focused, you know, he's good with sports and all that stuff, but though related to cop world, not just a cop. And most cops are into sports. Like, the dudes play.
They are, but do you want to hear a cop talk about it?
No, but he's not a cop. And I think that he's bringing part of his own.
Yeah, that's what we're talking
about. His own audience
over.
over as well. And if we were just cops talking about sports, I don't think it worked. But because of how vast our network now is with so many options, I would think if people like Counterculture, and let's say they like, Kenny's podcast, or they like Justin's podcast, like, oh, now they're on Counterculture. Oh, there's a sports show. So by default, I would say I'll listen because it comes from that same network.
Yeah.
And he's not a cop, so he's not really going to be. I like it because you're not spinning. He's not going to ever talk about cop shit. There's like no reason for him to.
Yeah.
So it's now you're getting just sports, where it's not be like, hey, let's talk about that arrest, and oh, by the way, like, here's a little sports. He's focused on just sports.
Yes, just
So
sports.
I think it's better that it's not a cop talking about sports. He's associated with a bunch of cops, but he's talking sports on his own.
Yeah, so you're really into sports?
I'm really into sports. I was telling them on the way here, like, all I know is sports.
He's got a podcast voice. I can already hear it.
Yeah, he's good.
All I know is sports. I don't follow politics. I don't follow what's going on in the world. I was telling them last time, we live in Vero Beach, and we had a Category 5 direct hit. I didn't know about it until the day before, because all I listen to is ESPN radio and sports podcasts. I see people putting up their shutters. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Oh, well, tomorrow Vero Beach is a direct hit for Category 5. I'm like, oh, shit. I should probably turn off ESPN and listen to what's going on as opposed to what's going on in the NBA draft, you know? So that's my life is sports, you know?
It's a good, and I think it's a good mix to bring that in as non-cop sports, just straight up. Like, because cops will fuck it up.
Well, so I mean, we were talking earlier, like when you watch a sports show, like so sports and entertainment were the two things that take you away from the real world, whether it be movies, music, entertainment, and then sports is its own thing. So entertainment and sports. Well, entertainment, unfortunately, is now heavily involved with the very polarizing world we live in. So, you know, all of Hollywood's liberal and all of music is liberal, which it's true. It is, because punk rock was founded by going against the man, and now punk rock is for the man. And it's crazy, but we're already tying in politics and real life stuff into entertainment. Sports is the one thing that everyone can step away from and have a common enemy. Like we could both be cops, but if we love sports enough, you're the fucking enemy.
Yes.
You're a Cowboys fan,
yeah.
right? I mean, it is. But we could die on the same fucking street together. But
I think it's sports and gambling.
Yeah,
Sports and gambling are the only two things where race doesn't matter, politics don't matter. You could have everybody from the opposite spectrums of politics or race or their beliefs, but if they're rooting for the same team or they're both gambling against the same house, they're best friends. For that hour they're at the blackjack table or that hour of a baseball or football game, they are best. They're hugging, all that, and then they go back to being enemies afterwards. But it does. It's those two things I think are unique.
The NFL well, they didn't try. The NFL started diving into it a little bit because they let that. See, look how biased I sound. That they let that liberal agenda seep in.
They did,
and I think the NFL paid the price for it. The whole getting into race and law enforcement, that's never a good topic to get into if you're not trying to be polarizing. And they started, you know, and I'll be the first one to say, you know, if you're not going to, you can't have it, you're either going to have it both ways or have it none. So while they were doing the, you know, say his name campaign where all the black males that were killed by police, Dallas police at the time, I think it was 2016, they lost 5 in a massive shooting.
One shooting, yeah.
And they went to the Dallas Cowboys and asked if they could be remembered, and they said no. Mm-hmm. So,
it started with the Colin Kaepernick stuff, and then it spun in. It started with Kaepernick.
Yeah, kneeling for the flag.
Yeah.
And so, what do you guys think about this? This is a great topic. Steelers, Vala, white dude. I want to say he was in the Army. He was a Ranger.
Oh yeah, the one that wouldn't kneel. He was
a
lineman.
It was
Alejandro Villanueva.
Yes, Alejandro. Yeah. It was so polarizing. The national anthem, my opinion, again, is that there's nothing polarizing about the national anthem. It's the national anthem, whether you know, no matter what side you fall on. It's because it's been adopted by sports. It should always be in the beginning. When you take it out, that's the first step to now you're going political. And people are like, well, saying the national anthem's political. No, we started with that. So we started the sport at the beginning of the game. But Mike Tomlin was like, I want my team to have nothing to do with anything. The guys in the locker room can pray how they want. They can thank America how they want, but we're not going to do it for an audience because he would. Again, I disagree with his decision, but I see where he's coming from. He's trying to protect his players and keep them in the game. And he doesn't want people hearing booing. And Alejandro decided, rightfully so, in my opinion, he took the flag and he went out there for
He was the only one, right?
Yeah.
The whole team stayed in the locker room. He was the only one that came out and stood at the side. And you're right. That should be a standard that we never get away from. Like that's why we are the United States of America. Is you have the right to have an opinion, but it should stand on the fact that you always should be supported. That national anthem is what it is, and that gives you the right to fucking hate the government. That gives you the right. But when you start creating a protest and then you bring it into the politics and the sports, I think we saw all the problems that started to happen. Attendance went crazy.
Yeah.
You know, people were fighting and arguing, and it got pretty ugly there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, were people really in attendance fighting over politics?
Yeah, it was getting ugly.
100%. I mean, I had people coming up to me saying the NFL is dead to me. I will no longer watch it.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought that was crazy. You know?
The NBA was probably the worst.
Oh gosh.
Especially among white males because it's heavily filled by black males. I remember when I first got my brand new TV, we moved in the house and I took a video of the TV and I went through the TV and it was a basketball game on. And I got a bunch of DMs like, why are you watching that garbage? Those guys hate America. Fuck that stuff. And I'm like, It's a fucking basketball game. Like, if I feel like if we go back at the sport that way, we're falling into that same category. Like, now I hate the sport because X, Y, Z. No, I look at it like they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but I would like to maintain the right way. I'm not going to just stop watching it because I don't agree with them. Just like they shouldn't stop doing the national anthem.
I didn't care enough. If I cared about it, I wouldn't have stopped. But around 2016, I stopped watching the NFL just because I couldn't get down with the whole like.
I will tell you, I didn't miss a football game. I don't care what was going on up until about that time. And I now look back and go, I'm talking where I would take off work to watch the Giants. I'm a Giants fan. I didn't care what was going on. If I could get the day off to go watch the football, I would take the day off for a regular season game. And I definitely have missed probably 25 games in the last few years where I'm just like, fuck it. I'm not going to change my life because I think it did sting a little bit the way that all kind of turned and got ugly. So what do you think about it?
I mean, honestly, like I said, I don't follow the politics. I'm a sports guy 100%, so that stuff really didn't affect me too much. Sports has always been there for me. I've been through a lot in my life, and sports has always been there. My teams have always been there. You know, people have walked out of my life, but the Bears have always been there, and these teams have always been there.
I guess that's one way of looking
I can
at it.
count on football every Sunday, and it's something for me to follow, something for me to pay attention to. You know, so I just kind of, I didn't look down on the people that would stop watching because of that reason. Like, I understood. Do I personally agree with people kneeling for the flag? Of course not. I'm an American. This game's played in America. These guys are making millions of dollars, and we're watching it, and we're funding them. But I would never stop watching a sport because someone kneeled for the flag. Yeah. And that's just my opinion, and I'm not going to.
You know, it's crazy is I always wondered. So your explanation makes a lot of sense. You know, you've had people that you loved or counted on or cared about you walk out.
Exactly.
Sports never did. So when somebody fucking switches teams, that's why you fanatics are like, fuck him! He can go fucking die!
To me, that's where I get into not real sports fans. When there's guys at my agency that grew up in Florida who are Florida Gator fans, fair weather, because they were good, Tim Tebow era. Yeah. Then they're fucking Yankee and fucking Dallas Cowboy fans. And I'm like, what planet? Like, I grew up as a Giants, Mets, Knicks fan, and I grew up in Jersey amongst all the Eagles fans. Talk about tough. Yeah. Even the years the Giants won the Super Bowl, we would lose both games of the Eagles that year. So it was always the Eagles. So to me, but it goes with the new society of just like whatever's cool right now, we're going to go with it. And a real fan, like, you know, you turned Mets because you grew up here by the Mets, but he was born up in Chicago, so he's loyal. And I think football teams is probably the most loyal. Football is obviously the best sport in America and the most watched sport in America. So I think that loyalty stands to it. Because my buddy Herman grew up in New Jersey, huge Eagles fan, moved to California, became a Mets fan like me. And that's like, you would never do that in football. You can maybe slide a new baseball team, slide a new basketball team, but football is what
was it probably like the mid-90s where it started losing that hometown feel? So, like, I mean, you go look at that Mark Wahlberg movie, like, I mean, back then, the 70s, 80s, like, that was the hometown's team. Those guys, you could walk on the team, you could try out for the team from, like, it was a really, like, grassroots, like, especially all those blue-collar cities like Pittsburgh,
Plus,
Philadelphia.
that's all you could watch. There was no Sunday 100%. Ticket. There was no such thing as you could not, 100%. Whatever game was on TV. I'll give you a perfect example of sports. NASCAR. I grew up in New Jersey amongst no NASCAR.
Wait, hold on. Do you consider NASCAR a sport?
I do. I'm a huge NASCAR fan.
So I look at NASCAR and I go, I had no idea that there was another driver besides Dale Earnhardt. Because all I watched was like Sundays, and it happened to be on, and Dale Earnhardt was always winning. I'm like, this black 3 car is always in the lead. I didn't pay attention to it, but because that's all that was on and all you could see, and there was no internet to go, who else, Google who else drives NASCAR. I'm like, dude, this fucking guy wins every week. He's like the coolest. I became a Dale Earnhardt fan, and I didn't really know much about the sport till I moved to Florida, and then I realized, damn, these motherfuckers all watch this thing. It's like crazy. And there was a point with NASCAR where I think they went too modern as well. I would, every Sunday, out of football season, set up a TV tray and watch the race. It was like, I'm going to sit here for this entire fucking 4 hours.
Really?
Yeah. I was crazy about it. When they switched up all the rules and started getting fancy with I was like, all right, I can't get down with that.
I think whenever they make... Oh, okay. I'll get to that. I mean, we don't have to do a full fucking biology on you, or not biology. Jesus Christ, what do you call that? What do you call that word?
Biography.
Biography.
You're close.
Pastor.
You're
Pastor.
But like just like a rundown. Like obviously you have the show that's called The Kennel, so you go by Canine.
Yes.
But you already have a show based on sports, so that kind of really puts you leagues above everybody else. But what's your real name?
My real name's Pete, but my family calls me Alex because we're Greek. I mean, everybody's named Nick and Pete. So if you went to my family party and you said Pete, you'd have like 8 heads turn around. So I went by my middle name, Alex, but my nickname's K9. It's been my nickname since I was
Where'd
a
you
kid.
get that?
To be honest, I was that dumbass kid in elementary school that when the K9 officer came to your school and they told you not to pet the dog, for some reason, me and that dog, we locked eyes. And for some reason, I thought I should pet the dog, and I made a big mistake, and it bit my hand. And everybody started calling me K9, and it just...
That's where you fucked up. You could be a millionaire right now.
Well,
Right
that's
now,
amazing.
today, if a fucking canine bit a kid at a school,
Yeah, it'd be a problem.
especially at that time, we're not claiming you're not Greek. You are mixed.
Okay.
Canine bites black child.
Mixed,
at
yeah,
City
mixed
school.
Mixed
It was
American.
a nibble. It
Police
wasn't that big
canine.
of a deal. It kind of growled at me, but we kind of, made it a little bit more dramatic than what
You
it
know,
was.
I've known you my whole life. I had no idea that's why you did that. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Hey, we're storytelling. We're trying
Yeah,
to
I
sell
had
a
no.
podcast.
I didn't have no idea.
It
That's
kind
why-
of growled at me. It kind of, showed its teeth at me, and I'm making it a little bit more dramatic than what it was, But we're gonna go with it. So
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? No Can Smelling Salts and Counterculture have teamed up. This stuff is a pick-me-up. When it's late at night and there's not an Ultima in sight, you hit this. You're piled up the C4s on your passenger side. The roller dogs are burning over there. You don't need that. You need the No Can Smelling Salts. When you're getting ready to go to the gym after a long night shift, you hit this in the morning and you feel better. Guaranteed results. Use code CC10 for 10% off for Counterculture. This is what you need. No Can Smelling Salts.
So again, we got sports now, so we're gonna have the sports show, and me and Mike tossed it around for a while whether or not it would work, and then I was like, does anybody know sports? Like, out of all of us, we're already stretched so thin, all of us, and he brought you up, and then it's just the idea kept getting better and better and better and better the more we talked about it, because other cops podcasts or cop oriented stuff would be like, oh, if he's not a cop, like we were looking for anything that's not law enforcement, like maybe the other side of the law,
Well, and it's honestly, I didn't even think about this. You were actually the first podcast. Antihero takes credit because I was on TV, but he was actually the first podcast I did. And he's been doing it for years, and that was part of what went into my thought process. Is I've watched him podcast and give up on it because it just became a problem. Then get back into it, and then because it's hard. If anybody knows. And he came back to it, and then he was selling bamboo towels. And then he was gonna get rich quick. But what I noticed about him was, throughout my life watching him, we're related. He's my cousin. His uncle, his dad is my uncle, my mom's brother. So I saw him always come back and work hard at something. So when I did his podcast, and I'm like, it's in the room. It's only getting a minimal amount of views, but he doesn't give up.
Yeah.
And now he came back again, and I watched him do it consistently. And now that I'm into it, I'm like, man, I understand how easy it would have been. Yeah, I understand how easy it would have been. Like, fucking get rid of this stuff. I think you actually got rid of all the stuff, right? And got it back.
I did get rid of everything. I got rid of my computer, but then I got the itch again, and I went on Facebook Marketplace and bought a MacBook for $250, and I started to back up, man. I just got the hunger in me. I'm a dog, K9's a name. As I say, I'm hungrier than Joey Chestnut on the 4th of July. I'm hungry.
He's back in
man.
it this year too.
And
what?
He's back in it this year.
he's back
He
in
was
it
banned
this
last year.
He was, because he went vegan.
Like I know who that is.
Joey
The
Chestnut.
guy who wins the hot dog eating contest
Yeah, he's
every
a
year.
dog.
He went. He
When's it?
got sponsored by a vegan meat,
Yeah.
and they kicked him out of the contest.
Broke my
last
heart when
year,
he wasn't
but
in
he's
it.
back.
You cover all sports.
Yeah,
huh?
that's
Dude,
a sport.
I'm just a
NASCAR's a sport. Hot dog eating's a sport, right?
It is. I mean, honestly, yeah, it is. I follow all of it.
What's the one sport that's pretty popular that you're just like, dude, I can't get down with?
Oh, gosh. Hockey is a big one for me that
What?
people love and people love to watch.
Are you white?
I am white. I'm Greek, but hockey's just been one of them things. I grew up in Illinois and then I moved to Florida, so that's probably what did it to me. Because in Florida, nobody plays hockey.
Nobody.
Even though we have the Stanley Cup
Back to
champions.
back to back.
Yes.
Well, they're all
and-
from Canada.
And 6 years in a row, Florida's been in the Stanley Cup championship, Florida and Tampa. And I'm just not a hockey guy. Like, I'll turn it on and I try to watch it. If I bet on it, I'm all in.
Yeah.
But
I only like playoff hockey because in regular hockey, the game ends, they do a shootout, and it's over. When you
Yeah.
get to playoff hockey, somebody has to win. So some of them games go to like double, triple overtime. Those dudes been on the ice for like 2 hours. Yeah, like 2 hours of skating, and they're just beat. They're missing teeth. I love it because and the toughness. There's
Yeah.
guys getting their teeth knocked out. They go in the locker room, pull the tooth, get a stitch, and come back out and finish the game. There's no such thing as like injury.
Do you remember when hockey tried to do away with fighting?
There
For
was
like
a brief time
year?
there, right?
It just plummeted in ratings because no one can really explain the phenomenon of fighting in hockey, how it's allowed, how it's a sport in a sport, right? Like fighting in hockey. I watched a great documentary. I think it was on ESPN about. It's about enforcers and how these guys were back in the day. Like how football used to recruit. They were recruited.
Yeah, there was
based off
one
they were
fighter on
fighters.
every team.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
They could barely skate. Some of them.
Yeah.
They were on the fourth line, and it'd be like, okay, we're up 4-0. Go out there and beat that dude's
Yeah.
ass. Like
And,
Ty Domi back then, and Craig Berube. I remember these guys when I grew up. But
I mean, you can't tell me it's not a mini sport within
Can
a
you imagine
sport
if we
when they have 5-on-5 fights and the two goalies go, fuck it, let's go. And it's a sport. There cannot be a way that goalie hates that fucking goalie.
no, they
100
don't even
yards
see each
away.
other. They don't see each other.
They're just doing
They
it
pass
because
each other
they
once.
put them in to fight. And you know what? I've never been the biggest hockey guy and followed it, but every year I bought NHL hockey just because it was like I played MLB, I played NBA Live, and it's like this is the one game where it's like you can go out there and fight. So it's like
That would be cool if we could do that everywhere. Like if you're at the station and you're like, "Fuck this dude," like
Oh, bro.
this guy that's lazy with the rake. Like, hey, this guy's not cutting his. Hey, man,
You know what's funny?
no,
Let's
100%.
go.
In our culture, they sometimes would. I think that the most they do is condone. They would sanction a grappling event between you and somebody. So obviously, there's no striking. Really, it's just fucking submission or I made you, But at the end of the day, the type of dudes that need their ass fucking kicked are never going to know how to fight. Guys that can fight or grapple usually learn humbleness throughout that process. And they're like, oh, yeah, I've changed my perspective. You ever meet somebody, the higher the belt goes, the nicer they are. And they could fucking wreck anyone.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Did you guys have the boxing smokers when you were in the military?
boxing.
You didn't have those?
What?
Like boxing events for your like company? So you guys
No,
were
they changed it into combatives.
okay. So
when Army
no, I'm
combatives
saying
were-
like rec wise. When I was in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and not, like the 3
You
years
didn't
I
have
spent there,
anything to do.
they would go like, we're having a boxing match this Friday night. Like, you want to fight Tyler? Set it up. You guys go do like.
Sanctioned by the Army?
The Army did it. It was a fucking event, paid event. They were selling concessions, and you could be like,
Again, you were at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
yeah, it was a United States Army, man.
There's a Pizza Hut and a Taco Bell.
Not even that. We had the Stagecoach restaurant, which was like a knockoff Outback, and Walmart had just been built when I got there. And the grand opening of Walmart in Leesville, Louisiana, I met Kevin Nash from WWE. He was like, he did like a welcoming event. Walmart paid him.
He lives around here.
Does he?
Big
Yeah.
Diesel.
Yeah, I got a
I've been
picture
trying
with
to get
him and
I've
my
been
buddy
trying to
back
get him
then.
on the show.
Oh gosh, that'd be great.
Because I remember he lived when I worked in the Daytona area. I was in FTO and we were driving by. My trainer was like, it was a little mini city called Wilbur by the Sea, and he's like, we've been to that house. He's like, I've had to take Kevin Nash for fucking domestic violence because he would get drunk with his lady.
I think he straightened it up.
Yeah,
like
he lost. They lost their son.
I was just about to say R.I.P. to his son. Yeah,
Yeah.
tragic.
And he lost his best friend. Scott Hall passed away years ago. That was like his fucking
Great
guy
guy.
he went through the whole NWO with.
Yep.
wrestling, sport or entertainment.
It's
or a little bit of
entertainment,
both?
but
I think there's such a
Gosh.
physicality to the job. So it's scripted,
It is.
but it's like you cannot be an athlete and be in pro wrestling.
I think those guys are in some of the best shape of any athlete.
100%.
Probably.
100%.
Any athletes. And I like, if you look at the transition from back in the day, you watch those documentaries now, like remember the Road Warriors and those guys?
Mm-hmm.
They were doing steroids all day, cocaine before matches to get up, and then they were addicted to pain medicine because their bodies were so beat. Those guys back then were doing like 330 shows a year. Like if they weren't on TV, high school gyms, little events, and those dudes worked their ass off. So talk about athletes. Those dudes are athletes. I don't care what you say if it's scripted.
I think you should bring. I think if we brought back cocaine and steroids, wrestling would be. Everybody
They're still on
wonders
both.
What happened to wrestling? And it's like,
I think, it got a little showman, but those dudes are still yoked, man. I mean, look at
they're average dudes, man. Now it's cool to be average in wrestling. Like,
yeah, man. Like,
I honestly think a lot of the guys in the 90s and 2000s that were unofficially grandfathered in with the the testing and stuff, because you watch interviews, they're like, dude, yeah, I was fucking pissed tested all the time. Clearly, other dudes
well,
weren't.
look at Vince McMahon, dude. He got fucking
Remember when he did
giant,
that?
dude. He was
When he
fucking
fought Stone Cold?
Yeah, he was giant, dude.
Walked to the ring like limping.
If you look at a
but
guy
he
like
was
Stone
yoked.
Cold, he probably did moderate, very little. He was never like yoked. But then you got guys like Scott Steiner.
I was just about to say Big Papa.
But think about
Pump,
even older, back to like Ravishing Rick Rude,
Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior.
There's no way he was natty.
No, he was not that.
Well, look at-
Hulk Hogan was on.
Look at
juice.
Scott Hall in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Different man.
Yeah.
The mask he had and the mustache makes him look like a different fucking man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Hall killed a guy outside of a strip club in Orlando.
Really.
On Orange Blossom Trail. He was security at a strip club, and somehow he shot and killed a dude, but they labeled it self-defense. Fun fact. It used to be in my zone, that same strip club.
Yeah, he was. Those guys were just, and you never realize how big they were because TV doesn't do it any justice. And then I remember going to a live event and like Brock Lesnar walked by and I was like, holy shit. And that dude was a UFC fighter. Like he fought he was a heavyweight champion in UFC, and it's like, this dude's like 6'9", like just
285.
gigantic. Yeah, you're like, holy Christ. Imagine that guy, and he played football. He got drafted, I think,
did.
by the Vikings. He was a
It's just some
NFL,
people.
Practice
and
squad
they're
guy.
fast and they're
Who's
agile.
like that? Who's that Samoan guy? Real World Tactical?
Oh yeah,
Anthony.
he jumps over fucking like 5 foot walls.
The amount of mass some guys can have and the ability to move is like, it defies physics. Like, it just, traditionally, the bigger you are, the slower you move. That's why on like football, like it is what it is. Then you got, I take that back. I think in football, the big guys are probably the fastest of all the big guys. Like we had Jay Dobbins on our podcast, and he's notorious for he was an ATF agent that infiltrated the Hells Angels. However, before he was in the ATF, he was playing for U of A, University of Arizona, and he thought he was going pro. When he went to the combine, and then he was like, I had never seen anything like that in my life. Like he was like, immediately within 5 minutes, I knew I was not going to play in the NFL. He was like, you take the worst guy on any practice squad, and that is a phenomenal football player. It's like, but people just don't get it until you're in it, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, the odds of making it that far, you think those guys are like the best. Even like you said, the practice guys or the guys that just don't even play, they're they're phenomenal shape. They're just and then them next to like the really good guy, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong? This guy's in the NFL. And you get a guy like Saquon Barkley or one of the Bo Jacksons, and your guys that are just genetic freaks that are, like you said, Bo Jackson was a monster, and he ran like a 4.2 40, and he was double sport. He played baseball and football. Just amazing dudes, and
100%.
But I think they were all on steroids back then. I don't think it was a problem, and I think the best run baseball ever had was the steroid era by far.
I think the last one, remember 90 from the Steelers, Harrison?
Yeah.
Jerome Harrison.
He was a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't think he plays. Obviously, I think
No, he's
it's
done.
been like
He's
5 or
doing
6
celebrity boxing now. He's supposed to be fighting Ocho Cinco.
years. The TBIs weren't bad enough. No.
That's why he's still boxing, because his fucking brain's rattled, and he thinks
Yeah.
he could still do it. I mean, that's like Tyson fighting and all that. That stuff's nuts. That those guys are still.
Well, we'll end it with what got us into thinking about sports was because we're trying so desperately to get John Rocker his show on counterculture.
How did that go the other day? Did you talk to him about
Still
it?
haven't talked to him. So
Is the female cock block still in the way, or we don't know?
I don't know. So I'm still working it. Not trying.
Did he say anything about it?
Yeah, he was like, he hasn't hit you up, and I'm like, no. He's like, we'll get on a phone call. I'll put us both on at the same time. So still working that. That's supposed to happen today. But anyways, we were like, would John Rocker even want a sports show, or would he want a show? We sometimes talked about sports, or would he want a show where it's not sports at all? And then, what's your thoughts on? You know who that is?
I do. Well, the main reason I know who that is because he got into it with Pat Mahomes Sr. after the Super Bowl, and they were supposed to do a celebrity boxing match
For Barstool.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I got
Rough
all
and Rowdy.
into it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. He's going to fight Pat Mahomes Sr., who is arrested just about every other weekend for drunk driving and whatnot, and he's another guy that's just out there. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And when Mike was telling me about him coming on the podcast or being interested, I'm like, yeah, now's the time for him to blow up too.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. He was because they got into what was it Mardi Gras?
I think it was at Mardi Gras. Yeah, after the Super Bowl, they got into it on the
happened?
street.
Why didn't they fight?
I'm not 100% sure, but man, that would have been great.
The Rough and Rowdy's pretty good.
I don't know, man. Like boxing to me, I feel like if somebody was like, "Hey, would you want to box a firefighter for charity?" First off, you go, he doesn't know how to fight too, right? Like I'm not gonna go box somebody that knows how to box. That would be a fucking shit show. But I don't know.
Boxing's tough, man. It's tougher than it looks. But then you get into grappling. That's even harder. I'd rather fight somebody MMA style.
Yeah, than box.
Yeah.
Because I don't
Because
know
there's
how to box.
so
I
much
disagree.
technique. Well, he
I
boxed.
disagree.
You box?
Yeah, he boxed for a
In
while.
high school, I amateur boxed, and my first fight was against a kid from Tampa that won the Golden Gloves, and they needed somebody to fill in for the fight at 125 pounds. I was boxing for about 2 months, but I was more of just like, I'll go in there and I was punching myself on the way to the ring. Like, I was just like one of those kids that was like, I don't care who it is, I'm going to fuck you up. Like,
I love it.
and I lost on points. I went the whole fight, but I gave him
that.
my
I remember
respect.
watching
He
that
gave me
video.
my
Yeah, I
he
remember-
gave
I
me
remember
my
seeing that.
respect. And I'm just a dog, and it's the same thing with this podcast, Counterculture Sports. I'm a dog. I want to make this the #1 podcast in the world, sports. I'm talking. I want to be higher than Barstool. I want it to be
We got
number
some work
one.
to do. That's what we're going to try to do.
Well, I
So-
mean, but we and him were talking like, I mean, you just said it, but I told him, I was like, when Mike told me how hard you work, and I'm like, most people do 7 episodes and go, I don't have 100,000 subscribers like I thought I would, and to go and drive, you have success. Some people say natural talent is one of them, but let's take that out. It's opportunity versus in hard work.
Huh?
You work hard. You got to constantly work hard, and you got to wait for opportunity, and it might hit.
Well, that's,
and
what
that's
I
your
looked
big
at.
break.
When I thought about, I didn't think about, when I started podcasting, obviously sports never came up. So I didn't think about him. I talked about bringing family on, and then I got into podcasts, realized how difficult it is and how much work goes into it. But when the word sports came up, that's immediately what I thought of. I watched this kid for the last 4, 5, 6 years just grind through, do it, get away from it, come back to it, do it. And I'm like, man, he's hard as he's worked for everything. I think he's done, he was in trouble with the police when he was younger and started going down one road, and he turned it all around, and now he's a family man and does good, man of God, goes to church. So it's like that type of person that stays committed to not letting himself go down that path or not giving up, even though we all give up at some point for a little bit, but always comes back to it. So I was like, as soon as you said it, I was like, I know exactly who we got to get. I know who we got to get. Hard worker, like close by, local, fits the mold, and that was what made sense to me.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll just have you challenge every single sports podcaster to a fight.
Yeah,
And
do that.
watch,
I would do it.
watch how many people
He's
go.
actually been on, I didn't tell you. I mean, he talked about it. He went to Bobby Bones' show, and you didn't know who they were. They're a syndicated radio show up in Nashville. He got flown up there and
Really?
was on the show.
Yeah, I made an intro for their show. They had a competition, and I won it. And I flew
Also,
up
can you
there.
make an intro for your show?
I could. Listen, here's the thing. I feel
We're
like
trying to pass.
It's actually a pretty good intro. You dress up like Hulk Hogan, and he's done some pretty good stuff.
I'll do whatever I got to do. Like, I'm looking at this as like, y'all just dragged me off the street and I just joined the gang. Like, y'all want me to go hit a lick on the corner store? I'll go open that bitch with a gun right now and be like, give me all the money.
I forgot the wild shit he used to do. He's got a video where he wore flippers and a snorkel into the mall and got in the fountain in the mall and started swimming around.
Don't dare me, dude. I'll do it.
Hey, PR.
I forgot about that, dude.
Yeah.
So
I used to do crazy shit. I had my wife pepper spray me in the face for a video. I had like 100,000 views on that. I mean, I've done just about everything to try. This is why I'm grateful for this opportunity. Like, this opportunity, y'all ain't gonna regret it. It's gonna blow up. I promise you that.
Well, like,
no ISIS.
Oh, we tell everybody. We tell everybody. I'm not one of those guys that's like fight it out winner. I really don't. I like team building. I'm about if I'm up higher and there's people on the team bringing them up because we can only move as fast as our weakest link. However, I've noticed that in this network, the people that are more willing to what would you call that, Mike? I mean, like, if you got to step on motherfuckers to get up, you got to step on. You know, and it's still a team, but like, you don't have to. The cool thing about us is we don't have like a pecking order or like a seniority ranking system.
I think, like you said, obviously talent. If you have talent, I hate saying this and giving this guy credit. I hope he doesn't listen. Reagan is very talented. Reagan is very talented with the way he talks and the things he says. It sticks. Trend makes you gay. Just the little one-liners. So you got a guy like him that's got talent. Unfortunately, he doesn't do any work. But then you got a guy that maybe has a little less talent but puts in the work. And then somewhere in between there is like, I look at this like you're rewarded by how much effort you put into it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could be like, I live an hour and a half. Oh, that's kind of far, dude. I'm not coming. And then you got to deal with somebody, give somebody. So putting the dedication into it and putting the hard work into it will pay off. And I think another big thing in this, as you're going to learn as you start to grow social media, is interacting with people, being available, personable, talking to people. Like, that stuff is very important in this podcast / social media world. So answering questions and, you know, eventually getting your podcast to the point where you got 1 billion DMs to answer and people want, hey, can you talk about this, and managing that. So you're right. Talent, hard work, but consistency is probably the 3 big things. And if you lack a little talent, which like I said, Reagan's very savvy with his, I'm not the most quick thinker, but I think I excel in like the customer service type thing where I talk to people and interact with people and don't mind doing that dumb shit that some people won't do.
And
that
people I send to Mike.
Yeah,
text Mike.
You made me the other day. He sends me a message. He's like, hey, this guy sent a Patreon about why he should be a cop, and can you answer this for me? I'm like, yeah, I got it, dude. So that's, you know, I think it's a good fit, and I'm excited. And he's right there by me, so he's got some support, help.
Yeah.
I can come on, he can come on. We can mix it up if we need to help each other out with guests or something, so I like it.
We are Counterculture 8. How's everybody doing tonight? Wild, huh? Wild.